Hi, my name is Anthony.wmv. I'm 17 and I currently go to Hillcrest High where I have been working on the idea of becoming, because when I get older I want to become I want to become a director and get into the acting area of media and stuff. And at the moment I'm year 12, and next year I'm going to be, this year it's my last year, because next year I'm actually off to Wintec, where I will be pursuing a radio broadcasting course followed by a media arts course. And the reason I want to do that is because ever since I was young I've always had an interest in acting and in the filmmaking stuff. I always used to watch making of documentaries and stuff on how films were made when I was a kid, and I really liked the behind the scenes idea, but also in front of the camera. And yeah, and I've always had high interest in that, so that's where I want to go.
Okay.
Alright, so when I was young I was diagnosed with a disability, and at first my parents were told that I wasn't supposed to make it past 5, but I keep exceeding the expectations of what the doctors said, so they gave up after a while and said basically just to live life to the fullest. And that's what I've done, really. So yeah, and with that disability though, the tough part was when I found out that I had that and had to deal with it, was discovering how things would work in terms of school. And when I got to school, it was tough, and people used to say, I mean, I made friends, but I also had a few people that didn't understand my disability as much as they probably could have, and they used to pick on me, and it was tough, and I didn't really react that much, but I did react, and over time I eventually just got sick of being picked on, and I began to fight back and to sort of get my voice out there, I suppose, as to how they were making me feel, and I would sort of tell them that what they were doing was wrong. And that in itself was difficult, because with the bullying itself, I went through stages where I had to have sort of lessons on how to manage my anger, because I would get angry when people would say things to me, because, I mean, with one person saying this and another person saying that to me all the time, and like the early years of school, it was really tough for me, so I began to act out on that, and I didn't like the way they were treating me, so I made sure I told them that. As well as the bullying, I've faced many obstacles and situations in my life where I've had to make tough decisions. Like, I've had many operations in my life, and even then there were some tough decisions. like one situation there was, I was told when I was young that I would have to have my neck fused, and I was told that there was a 50% chance of me coming out alive. And at the time, it was sort of tough because I was young and I didn't know how to respond to that. But what I did was I said, you know, let's get it over with, let's get this done. And I'm still alive, so it's great that what they did worked. One sort of example of that standing up, and when that standing up started to get noticed in a good way, was at intermediate, long after primary school, and still going strong with the whole idea of standing up for myself. I got into a conversation with some boys who were quite tall, you know, quite big, and they were talking to me about swearing, and they were questioning why I didn't swear, and why I didn't use the language that they used around my friends, and I let them know about that, and these guys were way bigger than me, yet the teacher just thought I was amazing for having the courage to stand up to them and tell them what I thought, because I don't think she'd ever seen that before from a student in the school, seeing that kind of courage in someone to have the ability to stand up for themselves like that. One thing I did was seek professional help from a lady named Leah Andrews, who worked at Starship, and she was there to sort of help me with my anger issues that I had with the bullying, and so they just helped me in general with dealing with various things. And she would talk to me about things that were going on, things at home, things at school, just stuff in general, to try and figure out the best way to deal with them with me, and then I would take what I learned from that and go and sort of act upon what she said. I've got a lot of mentors, but the main mentors for me were the ones who I was actually lucky enough to meet. A few years ago, I got involved in a company organization called Star Jam, and when they first came to me, they asked me which celebrities, if you could meet any celebrities, which celebrities would you meet and why? And I thought for a moment, and they let me sort of dwell on that for a bit, try and figure out who, and I didn't know at first, but I came to them with some people, and one of those people was Peter Jackson. And lo and behold, next thing you know, I get a call from Julie, the founder of Star Jam, and she says that we've got you an interview with Peter Jackson, and we have tickets for you to fly down to Wellington and do the interview. So they flew me down there, down to Wellington, and I got to make up some questions that I wanted to ask him, and that interview was shot on the set of Lord of the Rings. The great thing about that interview with Peter was the effect it had on my dreams and my I've always liked being inspired by people, and it was really nice to learn from one of the greatest people in my eyes in the film business, and get some pointers, I suppose, on what it's like to be in the film business and make movies, because I've always wanted to make movies ever since I was a kid, and it was great to get pointers from him with that. As well as Peter Jackson, one of the other people I interviewed was a double amputee named Mark Ingalls. And he has, when I heard his story, he actually released a book called No Mean Feat, which talked about the story of how he achieved what he achieved. And in that book he talked about climbing Mount Everest and getting to the top of that mountain and achieving the goal, and how amazing it was when he did that. And I think that was part of the reason I wanted to interview him, was because he had so many amazing things to say, and even during the interview he had a lot of great things to say, a lot of advice to give about achieving goals. And that, as well as the interview with Peter Jackson, was sort of a drive for me, really. It drove me to sort of get into that media area and sort of become a filmmaker, become an actor, and yeah. With writing and with singing, with music, I've always looked to like all kinds of bands, because my mom was a singer and she was in a band. She was in a couple of bands, and music's always been in the family in that respect. And with as for the writing, that sort of just came with I used to read a lot when I was younger, and I used to read a lot of books, and the main inspiration was probably J.K. Rowling. When I picked up Harry Potter back in primary school, the teacher recommended that book to me, and I was like, wow, this is a good book. This is really cool. And I remember recovering after some surgery, and I was reading the third book of Harry Potter, and yeah.
And what?
Out of all the things I do in my spare time, one of the things that I do, as well as, writing my own book and doing singing and all sorts of stuff like that, is I like to work on YouTube. And when I was, I can't remember, I think it was last year, I was I was trying to find out a bit about YouTube because I wasn't really sure what YouTube was. And I'd heard bits about it from my friends and various people who sort of knew what it was, but they didn't really take much interest in it. And I was hearing about these people that have been doing things like vlogs and all sorts of crazy and amazing videos, and I was like, I want to get into this kind of stuff. This is pretty cool. So I sort of just one day after school, I set up a YouTube account, and next thing you know, I sort of started gaining friendships with a couple of the big people on there. Yeah, big people like Ray William Johnson, who does, he runs a show on YouTube called Equals 3, and I made friends with celebrities like, I recently made friends with someone I found out about through him called Gabriel Iglesias, who is a comedian from Mexico. So I've made friends with people all over the world through YouTube, and that was one of the things that struck me about it. I mean, the first thing I wanted to do when I sort of got into YouTube was I heard about all these inspiring people, and I was like, I want to do that, and I want to inspire those people because those people are really cool. So, yeah. And recently I've started to use my channel for doing videos, and one of the things I did first was I came up with a production company for myself. I was sort of like, a lot of people, like even Ray, he started out doing his own sort of independent filming and stuff. So I sort of came up with my own production company called Digital Scale Productions. And with that production company, I was aiming to, I was hoping to do sort of comedy, but at the moment I've been reviewing games and stuff like that. I haven't gotten into the sort of comedy aspect of it yet, but I'm aiming to sort of do comedy later on, do a bit of, maybe get some friends of mine involved, maybe even get involved with some of those YouTube stars that I've made friends with. But I really just want to sort of inspire those YouTubers out there, because there are so many great, talented people on YouTube that it's something I really wanted to be part of. I suppose the area I specialize in terms of YouTube, I like to improvise with stuff, so I suppose that was originally what I was intending to do, was improvisation, and that was really good in terms of thinking of it as that, because then it opened the door, so to speak, in terms of things that I could do. I started out doing game reviews, and I've started out doing stuff to do with the latest games, or if I hear about a new game that I find interesting, then I'll talk about it a bit, and if a new game comes out, then I'll talk about it if I've got it. But the main thing I want to do really is get into doing improv comedy, maybe with a couple of friends. Who knows who I might get involved with in the future. But I know that a lot of the YouTubers, they get involved in a thing called the partner program. And the partner program is where YouTubers from all around get together and they work on videos together. And I might get involved in that in the future, but for now I'll just keep what I'm doing, keep with what I'm doing, and maybe I'll get to that at some point. Well, this here is my YouTube channel, Digital Scale Productions, and I do all sorts of stuff on here. Currently I have these are some of my friends. We got my friend James here. He does remixes. We've got Ray, of course, and his three channels that he does. Then we got Ray's friend Mika Kitty, who does videos and stuff, as well as people that are high up in the entertainment business, like Gabriel Iglesias, who is a comedian. And then we got people like John M. Chu, who directed the Step Up movies and stuff like that. And all of these people have sort of been inspiration to me to help keep my YouTube channel going. And currently I have about 522 friends on my YouTube channel, and I have 49 subscribers. So these are people from all over the world, and they have either gotten in contact with me or I've gotten in contact with them. And yeah, I check out their stuff if they contact me, and a lot of them are very talented, and yeah, there's a lot of really cool people out there. Success to me is an interesting thing. I mean, I know that you gotta work for it, and I know that it takes a lot of time and dedication to succeed in something, no matter what it is. But I also know that if you work at that, then you can get to that sort of, it's like a destination, I suppose, and like you're on a, you're on the road, and there are lots of obstacles on that road, and that road can go in many different directions in many different ways, and you've got to learn to face what happens along the way, and some of it's good, some of it's not so good. A bit like a roller coaster in a way. It's got a bit of up, it goes up and then it goes down, and it can get frustrating, but you gotta bear with it, and eventually you can succeed. And yeah. If I could give advice to anyone about achieving dreams or inspiration, it would be to simply, I never realized until I started to get out there and learn things about the world. I never realized how many people there were in the world that do so many amazing things. And my advice to those people is to get inspired, really, and inspire the people that inspire you. And then, I suppose, it leads to a chain of inspiration. And the more people that get inspired, the better. and one person might inspire one person, and then that person inspires another person, and next thing you know, the whole world is affected by that inspiration. So you gotta really look out for um, the talented people out there, and it's, to be honest, it's not hard to find it. There is talent everywhere, and there are so many talented people in the world, and you just got to get inspired. As well as sort of getting inspired by other people. I mean, you do have to be careful who you get inspired by. I mean, I know there are a lot of people out there in the world that do inspiring things to a point, but there are things that they do that aren't so good, and there are things that they do that um, are not good for them, and can get them in a lot of trouble sometimes. And I suppose the thing you want to do there is you want to make sure you get inspired by the right kind of people, and make sure you get inspired by people who are doing the right thing, and get into the right crowd, and get out there and do stuff with them, and learn from each other.